so glad to be able to introduce Tabitha Mullis. She is a new practitioner to our practice, longtime nurse, great experience, and we're very glad, Dr. Vega and myself, Alicia, and our staff, to have her as part of our team to take care of all of your cardiology healthcare needs. And so I would like to introduce Tabitha and let her speak about her experience and also give you maybe some updated information on COVID.
Hello, my name is Tabitha Mullis. I'm a nurse practitioner at Dublin Cardiology. I have been a nurse practitioner for 6 years practicing. I have done internal medicine, pediatrics, and currently work at Southeastern Immediate Care, which is one of our local urgent care family practices here in Dublin, Georgia, for the last 3 years. I have been a nurse for 20 years. Worked at Fairview Park Hospital for about 14 years. I probably worked in almost every area at the hospital, including med-surg, pediatrics, cardiac cath lab, ICU, ER. I did work 1 year at the Coliseum Hospital in CVICU, so I do have heart experience. I wanted to take the opportunity to talk a little bit about COVID-19 and what our community has experienced with it. We are screening for any symptoms that could remotely be associated with that virus. We have taken extra initiatives to make sure that we follow up with those patients that have been tested and making sure that their symptoms are improved before coming back into our office, so that we're not reinfecting any of our elderly patients that we see here. I'm excited to join the staff at Dublin Cardiology with Dr. Vega and Alicia Vega. One of the most exciting things about our community is that we are an accredited chest pain center here at Fairview Park Hospital, and our office is available 7 days a week. We have an on-call provider who can meet your needs if you're having any chest pain or shortness of breath or any problems. We would love to take care of you and look forward to seeing you in our office. If you are new to our community, we are conveniently located on the campus of Fairview Park Hospital.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we welcome you out to West Lawrence High School. We are here with head football coach Kagan McLean. And Coach McLean, another season in the books.
Yeah, I've been coaching football now 20 years, so it's been a long time. They all kind of start to run together a little bit, but everyone's different, everyone's unique, and you hate it when it ends, especially for those seniors, because it's something that, I told our guys, football is a little different than most sports. You can play baseball the rest of your life. You can play basketball the rest of your life, but there's very limited opportunities to strap pads on and actually play full contact football once your career is over. And for most seniors, their career does end after high school, except for the few that go on. But it's a little bittersweet way to end, but proud of our guys. They really fought a lot of adversity. We had a rough year as far as not just the COVID stuff, losing Leonte Coates and the things we had to deal with this year, but our kids have just been so resilient. They fought hard, and of course it didn't end the way we wanted it to end. But I told them, when you get to the point in your program where when everybody says you're in a rebuilding year, you still make the playoffs, I think that's a good thing. And I tell everybody, when I first came to West Lawrence in 2011 from America's High School, when we came in with Coach Noble's staff, if you went 5-5 at West Lawrence, you had a successful year. You know what I mean? And making the playoffs was something they hadn't done since like the 90s, And so I think we've got our program to a point where we make the playoffs every year. I think we've made it 6 of the last 7 or 7 of the last 8. In a down year when, maybe we graduate a lot of kids or we got to start a bunch of young guys, we're still there. And so I think that's a positive and proud of our guys overall.
Yeah, and you look at the season overall, Coach, really 2 games out of winning the region. We brought it up before. In Milledgeville, that play at the end of the game pretty well, it kind of gave it away, however you want to look at it. And then Perry might have been a little bit better team, but when you got all your players, it makes a difference. Now, Coach, if you're from here, you don't have to look very far back. It's not a long time ago when what you're talking about, where 5-5, that was success. And
right.
No longer is 5-5 successful. You want better. You're looking for 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Love to get to that 12 game wins on the season, Coach.
Right.
But it takes a lot of effort. It takes building. It takes the community behind you, which the community is behind you. It takes an administrative staff, a board that's behind you, and they're behind you. But Coach, it takes the kids, it takes the parents, getting those kids to come out and to play the sport and to have that passion. And we talk about it many, many times on here, Coach, because if a kid has guts, if a kid's just a tough kid, they don't have to be the biggest kid. They got to want to work, because every kid hits that stride. They grow at a different time.
Right.
And you got I believe you have a lot of ability. You have a lot of talent that comes through this school, but not all of them want to play the sport.
Yeah, well, it's times have changed. It's in a lot of places, and every place isn't the same. But there was a time when if you were an athlete, you played football, you played basketball, or you ran track or played baseball. You did all of it,
Right.
You wrestled, whatever. But now it's kind of got to a time where, kids are wanting to go out and get a job and buy a truck and do these things. And that's just there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not certainly knocking that in any way. But getting kids out in a lot of places has become tougher. When I first started my career, it was nothing. Everybody wanted to play sports.
Right.
That's what they did. Now, I've been in some small rural communities in my career where that's what they had, But now it's gotten where everything's gotten bigger and grown up. There's just more opportunities for other things, especially with, social media, video gaming, things like that. There's just things that divide kids' attention. And football is a commitment. I tell our guys it's one of those things that it takes a lot of commitment, it takes a lot of time, it takes a lot of effort, it takes a lot of sacrifice. You have to want to do it. And I feel like a lot of kids nowadays aren't as willing to invest that kind of energy and time and effort into something like football, like they used to.
Yeah.
But I'll say this: the thing about coaching football, and any coach around the state will tell you this, you can't determine who you have on your team. It ain't like I can go out and recruit. I need 2 linebackers next year. Let me go recruit me 2 and sign them to scholarships. It ain't college football.
Right.
You have to play with who walks through the halls, which makes high school coaching fun, because now you have to be creative. You have to be flexible. You have to change what you do to fit what you have. And the thing about coaching in any, and now I'm not impressed by coaches that just have a bunch of wins. You can go to some places that just have more talent, that are in down regions or playing lesser competition, and you can rack up wins. I like those guys that go out there and get the most out of the talent they have. And there's a lot of really good coaches across the state, most of them way better than me, who really get the most out of the talent they have. When you look at someone like that, I respect that as a football coach. And then I think that's what high school football has become, is you really, other than those metro areas where they get transfers and move-ins all the time, you can't help that mess, but whatever, But we're one of those places where I love coaching football here, because you never know what you're going to have the next year, and you've got to really work and figure out how to get the most out of the kids you have. And I think if we do that, no matter what our record is, I feel good about it. The community may not always feel good about it. They may say, hey, you ain't won enough games, get out. And I'm fine with that, you know what I mean? But that is what it is, But the thing about West Lawrence is a great community. It's a great place. But when you look at it historically, when I first came here, I was at America Sumter. I'd coached at Americus. I was coached at Cairo, And then when I came over here, you do research, because you want to figure out, where am I moving my family, And I knew it was going to be a great community. I knew it was going to be a great school system. But when you look at athletics, when we first came here, historically, West Lawrence had won 37% of their football games, dating all the way back to like 1970-something. So that means they averaged 3-7, 4-6 is their average. They'd only won like 1 region championship, I think, or maybe 2, I can't remember. And they'd only won 10 games like twice in their history. They're talking about, 40 years of football. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so you knew there wasn't a tradition and that you were going to have to build a program. But part of that's kind of exciting. And so we came in with Coach Nobles and we started laying that foundation. And are we an elite program in the state? Probably not. We're not there yet. But I think that we've done a good job since 2011 of getting the most out of our kids. I think that, like I said, when you get to the point where in what everybody says is a down year, we graduated 18 starters off an 11-2 football team, and everybody says, oh, y'all got to rebuild next year. You got to rebuild, and then you throw in all the other stuff with COVID, and you throw in, the tragedy our kids dealt with losing Leonte. It was a tough year, but when you look at a year like that and you go 5-4. And you make the playoffs, and yeah, you lose in the first round, which I'll say this is the first time we've exited in the first round since we started our playoff run. So we've had a pretty successful run in the playoffs. But we played a really good football team. But when you look at that and you say, hey, in a rebuilding year or in a year when you got 3 sophomores on the O-line, when you're playing some young guys and you're dealing with adversity, and you still go 5-4 and you still make the playoffs, well, I think that's what you want as a coach. You want to get to the point where, hey, even when we're maybe not as experienced as we have been in the past, we can still compete and win football games. And I thought our kids did that. And I'm not trying to, pump myself up as a coach. I'm talking about, I'm proud of those kids, and I'm proud of how they've bought into what we do. They've bought into the weight room. They've bought into our program, so that in those years when maybe we aren't as talented or experienced, we're going to fight and win football games. And that's going to make us that much better next year when we return 4 of our 5 offensive linemen, when 6 of our starting front 7 on defense have all had playing experience and will be back. Where, we got a couple key holes we got to fill, losing Bradley Wilson, Tyler Franks, TJ Jones. There's some key guys we got to replace, but we got the bulk of our guys that got playing time coming back, and I think that bodes well.
Coach, have you looked at over the last 8 or 9 years about what your percentage is?
Yeah, we are right at almost 70%. We're between 65 and 70%. Right at, I think it's like 66, 67% winning percentage. So we've almost doubled that, since 2014. When you look at 2014 on, we've been that. Because, first couple of years we had to build, and it was a little tough. We had some 5-5s and a 3-7 in those first few years before we really turned it around and went 9-4 and started winning those games, But yeah, I'm proud of the fact that since 2014, we've won over 60% of our games. And I'd like to get to the point where we're over 70%.
For sure, and I think you're headed in that direction, Coach. You really do. I believe the community thinks that as well. But when you invest 3 years in a weight room in the young men, you get that class coming up, you get that freshman, that sophomore pushing it in there every week throughout the year. That'll tell a story when it goes.
Yeah, no doubt. And I use this as a good example. Our senior class is graduating this year. When they were in middle school, I think they won 1 football game. And they came up as my first year as head football coach here, that was my 9th grade class. So this will be the first class I've graduated all the way through. And they, on the 9th grade team, didn't win a single game. Lost every game and got blown out in a bunch of those games. And these are mostly the same kids who played this year, and I look at the progression. As 10th graders, they started winning some JV games. As 11th graders, they got in the mix a little bit and had a really successful JV season. And then now as seniors, they went from, hey, we couldn't win anything to, we're 4-2 in the region and we're in the playoffs. So I think that is a great example of what the weight room will do, of what buying into a program will do, and of what commitment will do. And I think those guys, I'm proud of them. You look at them, really you look at the junior and senior year as varsity players, because that's when you're really in a good program. You don't start 9th and 10th graders. There's too much competition. They're developmental, You can go some places and start as a 9th and 10th grader, and I get that. But here, that's really hard to do. But our 11th and 12th graders, man, they went 11-2 and 5-4, and 5-5 count the playoffs. But I'm proud of what they've done. I'm proud of what they did. And they graduated a lot of guys from last year and then stepped in and fought and battled this year, and were successful, in my opinion.
Talking to Coach McLean at West Lawrence, we'll take a short break. Stay tuned.
From humble beginnings with a desire to serve the Dudley community, Bank of Dudley has grown to 5 locations, serving Lawrence, Twiggs, and surrounding counties. Serving our community since 1905, the Bank of Dudley is looking forward to its 2nd century of community banking. Drop in today to any of our 5 locations: Jeffersonville, Dudley, East Dublin, Veterans Boulevard, and downtown Dublin. Bank of Dudley, member FDIC, and an equal housing lender.
Hi, I'm Don Carswell with Dublin Chevrolet. Many of us are ready to enjoy the holidays.
This 21 Trailblazer Active is only $25,295.
Call, click, or come see us. Dublin Chevrolet, the only dealer you'll ever need.
I'm Brad Grimes, and we invite you to join the winning team at the City of Dublin Natural Gas.
And we'll give you a free 40-gallon hot water heater.
Or a $400 rebate on a tankless hot water heater. get a $200 rebate on the natural gas furnace.
How about 0% financing for 60 months?
Plus, we'll make it easier and add it to your bill.
Take advantage of this incredible offer today. With natural gas, you'll never run out of gas again.
Natural gas is dependable.
Natural gas is half the price of electricity.
And half of the price of propane.
So stop wasting money today.
And call the City of Dublin Natural Gas today.
At 277-5048. That's 277-5048.
Join the winning team at City of Dublin Natural Gas.
I'm Glenn Register at Hometown Supply. Want to wish all our area schools the very best in the upcoming season. Hometown Supply, located in downtown Dublin, is here for all your home and hardware needs. We offer new and used appliances, both gas and electric. Competitive prices on electronics and computers, including cell phones, laptops, and tablets. We have service people on staff, a repairman for our appliances, and a computer technician for our electronics. Come by and see how we can help. Just remember, if you can't do business here, you just can't do business.
Coach McLean, when I look across it, like you say, Bradley Wilson, I mean, let's just look at the final game. Now, he had a problem with his ankle.
Yep, he got a very severe sprained ankle. He had an ankle he's been hobbling on the last couple weeks. Yeah. Got it rolled up in the first quarter, I think it was the first quarter, yeah. and had to leave the game. Of course, that doesn't help. So yeah, he was out, and he's good now. There's no tears or anything. I mean, there's nothing major. He's in a boot. He'll just need a few weeks to kind of recover.
But you talk about a competitor, though, Coach.
Yeah, and you're starting quarterback. That makes a big difference,
He's scrambling around back there. He's trying to make something happen. I mean, you could tell he wanted to carry that team on his back. He wanted to excel. I got that vibe from the way he started out playing, the way he was throwing the ball, the way he found himself at the scramble like that. And I mean, yeah, he probably should have thrown it away and lived to fight another day, but that's the way it turned out. But for him to come off that field and still try to walk that off, to come out after halftime, Coach, with his helmet on.
He wanted back in. He tried to get back in the football game. We just couldn't. No. It wouldn't have been what's best for him to do that. He's a senior. Yeah. He's done so much for us. He's got his senior baseball season coming up. He's committed to play at Mississippi State. We're not going to throw that kid out there, just to try and keep the game closer and risk a really serious injury. Right. So he wanted back in because he's a fierce competitor. He's a great kid. I love him, but we wouldn't let him get back in. Caden Snell went out with a stinger that they thought was a concussion. He's okay. But he wanted to get back in. We couldn't let that happen. It's just not the right thing to do. And he's arguably our best playmaker on defense. And that's not making an excuse. Cairo was a better football team. They beat us in all three phases of the game, and they deserve the win. And I'm not trying to take anything away from that. But I love the way our kids really fought and competed and wanted to be in there at the end, despite the score. But it's one of those things where we got a bunch of guys who got their real first taste of Friday night playoffs, because a lot of those guys last year weren't in the lineup. We only returned 4 starters from last year, so they didn't get that experience last year. Right. And now they're really out there getting that playoff experience, and I think that's going to produce a hunger in them to be back next year and to go further next year. And hopefully we can do that. For
sure, Coach. Now, let's talk about positions for starters. Let's talk about positions that'll be graduating this year.
Yeah, we lose Bradley at quarterback, obviously. We lose Tyler Franks, our leading receiver. But 4 of the 5 O-linemen come back. We lose Deontay Holloway, our left tackle. So Kadarian Hickman's back, our leading rusher. Our second, I think it was our second leading rusher, Evan Guyton will be back. We do lose James Boston, who gave some really quality carries back there, and Lorenzo Turner, who gave some quality carries back there. But I like the fact that we've got our leading rusher back. We've got 4 of our 5 O-linemen back. If we can get a quarterback to step up, and we got a couple guys that'll be in the mix there. Jace Thompson obviously went in the game and finished it out at Cairo last week. And then you got Gunnar Jeffers, who can step in and help us if we need him to at quarterback. So I feel pretty good about that. We got a couple young guys at receiver that'll need to step up. I really like Johnny Williams. He's going to be a sophomore next year. Got a lot of speed. He'll jump in there. And then we've got Ashad Farmer and Joel Howard and some other guys who can jump in. Gunner can play receiver if he's not playing quarterback. So we've got some guys I think that can fill in, and we can be pretty good on offense again next year. And defensively, we lose T.J. Jones on the D-line, but return two of the three up front. We'll lose Jacob Holsey at linebacker as a senior, but Evan Guyton got a lot of reps at linebacker, and he'll be back in there. So really, 6 of our front 7 on defense got a ton of reps this year. So I think that's a good start. We'll lose 3 of our 4 in the secondary. Jaquil Edmond at corner graduates. Quaylen Travick and Martavian Blash, who split reps at the other corner, graduate. And then Chris Boston at free graduate. We'll return Christian Boston at strong safety. But I do like some of the guys that we can put out there. We've got some explosive young guys that I think will have to learn in the summer, hopefully with a full summer of 7-on-7s in practice, hopefully. If this stuff will, get under control, we'll be more prepared with those young guys and they'll be ready to play. But I like the team we're going to bring back next year. I think they're going to be a really, really solid, really competitive, really good football team.
But Coach, you learn how to be a teammate. You learn how to work hard. You learn what it's like to go through adversity.
Right.
And some kids move on and they're very productive in life because of the experience of being a part of a team. And that's something, Coach, that you provided greatly for our community, for this school, for every year since you've been here.
Well, I think all athletics, that's what it should be. High school athletics, let's be real. I want as many of our guys who want to have opportunities to go and play at the next level. But for the bulk of high school kids, their career ends at high school. That's just facts. I know parents that spend $8 million on lessons and travel ball and all that don't understand that. But for the most kids, their career ends at high school. For the ones who have the ability, they get the opportunity to go on. There's very, 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 very few people that have the ability and don't get the opportunity. If they didn't get the opportunity, it's because they didn't have the ability or the grades. We need to be honest about that. But I think every high school sport, not just football, really helps teach those lessons in life, because let's face it, I'm 42 years old and I've faced a lot of adversity in my life, because life is about adversity. And 99% of what happens to you in life is all about how you respond to adversity. A lot of people want to make excuses and point fingers and say, because of this, I wasn't successful. Because of that, I wasn't successful. No, because you didn't respond to negative circumstances right, that's why you're not successful. We want to play the blame game. We want to teach kids that no matter what life throws at you, no matter what it is, you can overcome it. It may be difficult, it may be hard, and it may be harder on you than somebody else, but you don't need to compare yourself to them. You need to deal with your circumstances, overcome, and do everything you can do to be successful. And I think this football season is a great example of adversity. We dealt with a lot, but our kids were resilient. They overcame it. They fought through it. And those are lessons, once you learn them, now you move forward in life, they can look back and say, hey, back then I overcame this scenario. I can overcome what's in front of me now. And I think it's not just football. I don't want to put it on us. Just all high school sports, I think, teach those lessons. And I think that's the great part of it. And for the ones who have the ability, they can go on. And we do have a few kids who I think are going to go on and play football at the next level, or other sports at the next level.
Take a short break and be back with Coach, and stay with us, all right?
Imagine a life-changing injury. Imagine the fear and unknown. The Houston Clinic Sports Medicine Team, the only physicians in the area with advanced certification in orthopedic sports medicine, treats sports injuries with innovative techniques. The Houston Clinic has helped nearly 1 million athletes live without pain. Imagine getting back in the game. Imagine the best game of your life. The Houston Clinic Sports Medicine Team.
F. Lake and the staff at Lakes Alignment has been serving Lawrence and surrounding counties since 1954, offering you the best in suspension, alignment, and tire services. And now Elp and Lisa Lake are proud to announce the addition of Neil Harden and our 24-hour truck, trailer, and tire repair facility with state-of-the-art equipment. Lake's Tire Facility is conveniently located to I-16 and all roads throughout Middle Georgia. Call on us 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for truck, trailer, and tire repair. Call 272-4230, serving the Southeast for over 65 years. Lakes Alignment, and now 24-hour truck, trailer, and tire repair.
When it comes to handheld power tools, there's no better name than Echo. From our consumer grade to professional blowers, we've got what you're looking for. We have hedge trimmers, string trimmers, and pole pruners to cut any job down to size. And Echo's battery-powered equipment gives you gas-like performance without the hassle. So come see us at Myers Equipment and Supply, 301 North Jefferson in Dublin.
Stepping Stone Child Advocacy Center is a nonprofit organization serving the Dublin and Oconee Judicial Circuit. We provide confidential services to children and adults who have experienced child abuse or sexual assault. We are available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week to respond to your crisis or need. When you take that step to report your abuse or assault, we will be here to help you navigate your way to hope and healing. You will be treated with kindness and respect as you receive services such as forensic interviews, medical exams, legal advocacy and support, as well as referrals to counseling. All of these services are provided to you free and confidential.
Well, Coach, when we talk about team, we have to talk about your team of coaches.
Yeah, you know, we've got a good staff of guys that, you know, and every year in coaching, it fluctuates. You'll have guys move on, new guys come in, things like that. You know, but we've got a good group that I think, you know, most of them will return next year. We may have to add some guys here or there. I know, you know, we got one that's going to retire. You know, he's been doing it a while. He's going to step down. And that's Dwayne Gibson. He's been coaching here for years and years and done an outstanding job. And he's going to take a step back and focus a little more on family and on his ministry, and still help us out with the, you know, some equipment and things in that area. But is not going to be a coach next year. And we appreciate him and all he's done. But you know, there's always that changeover. But you know, we got a good core staff that I think has done a fantastic job. And if we can keep plugging and keep getting better and keep adding to that staff, then you know, I think that we can continue to be successful.
Yeah. How many do you think it takes to be successful? How many coaches do you think to run a program at West?
Well, you know, to be honest, in Quad A, you know, you've got to have a minimum of 10 to 12 coaches. You know, because you're talking about in years when you've got numbers. Now, COVID brought our numbers down. In years when you've got numbers, you're going to have a varsity, a JV, and hopefully a ninth grade or a C team. This year we weren't able to have that ninth grade or C team. We just didn't have enough personnel or players because so many kids were in online learning or opted out of football or whatever. So it was a little bit different year. But you know, you need you know, and when I say 10 to 12, I'm talking about 10 to 12, not including the head coach, you know. And our administration and our community does a great job of giving us the slots we need. You know, the hard part people don't understand is with coaching, you got to have a teaching job, you know, in order to coach. So if I want to hire a guy to come in and coach, well, he needs a teaching job because that's the bulk of his salary. Well, if there's no teaching jobs available, because we have a great system, nobody wants to leave. It's a great system, you know. Then it makes it more difficult because now you're looking at trying to bring in community coaches, which is a little harder. But you know, they've been very supportive. Our athletic director, principals, superintendent, the board, they've been very supportive of letting us get who we need in and working with us when those slots become available. So it's been something that, you know, there's a lot of places where you don't get that support, and we absolutely have that support here.
Coach, it's so important to grow kids for sure. And so when we look at you know, coming through, you have a fair amount of activity, I guess, with middle school, but that's an opportunity for young men to start to train and to grow, and that's a vital part of your program, isn't it?
Yeah, I think the middle school as your feeder program is huge. You know, we one thing we do is we really emphasize our weight program at the middle school. We want to make sure our kids are already starting out lifting weights no later than the 7th grade, so they can start getting an idea of how we do things, start building a little bit of initial strength, learning how to control weights and control their bodies at that age, you know. And you know, we're going to be, as a varsity staff, a lot more involved in our middle school program as far as the weight room and things like that. Going forward, we've kind of moved towards that the last couple of years, and you know, and we've got some good talent coming up. I know a lot of times you don't look at it because you'll look at the middle school and you'll just look at their record, and that's not necessarily always indicative of the talent that can come up. Like I said, you know, our senior class this year wasn't very successful and then ended up being successful. So when you have some raw ability there and you got some work ethic there, you can translate it into some wins. But yeah, the middle school is very important. If you're not solid at the middle school, you know, that's your feeder program. That's where you lay the foundation, and you got to be good there.
Well, Coach, I know we'll have kids, we have parents that are watching, we have family members who want to direct their young men in the right direction as far as middle school football. And I mean, you'll always speak to anyone, won't you?
Absolutely, yeah. Anybody that has any questions about that is free to call the school, and they'll direct you down to my office. I'll be glad to give any information out, talk to anyone. I'll actually go over to the middle school in January and have a meeting with any 8th graders that are interested in playing, even if they didn't play in the middle school but want to play at high school, and we'll get some information to them about spring practice and about coming up and doing those things, and really try to get to know those guys and build a relationship with those guys. So a lot of kids will play in the middle school, then they get nervous about playing at the high school because it's a transition. They're like, well, maybe I just won't play my 9th grade year and see how things go, and that's not what we want them to do. We want them to come out and be a part of our program. We take care of those 9th graders. They're not thrown out there against seniors at practice or anything like that. We don't do that. As they get older and they get a little more ability as the year goes on, they start to work their way in on some scout team and things like that. But of course, when a kid's not developmentally ready, we don't put him out there. He's out there to practice and to get the drill work and to get in the weight room with us and to grow. And there's a lot of benefits of playing football. You get the weight room year round. We work out all summer, so they're in there getting that lift rather than taking the whole summer of sitting around doing nothing. They get to be in our football weightlifting class, which is a lot more advanced, and they get to learn those things and do a lot more. So, we encourage anyone that has any interest. We want them out there. We want them on the team. We don't cut kids. If you show up and you're willing to come to practice, we'll put you on the football team, because you never know. Who's going to really develop from a 9th grader to a 12th grader. And a lot of people who think I'm never going to be a player in the 9th grade end up being great players by the time they're seniors.
Yeah, so we encourage you, ladies and gentlemen, you look for that in middle school. You get your young man ahead of schedule, kind of talk to them about it, if you will. Let them go down, meet coach at the middle school and play at middle school football. But when they come to high school, it's not only the development of just a body, just an athlete, but it's mental, it's toughness development. It's developing a young man who knows what responsibility is. And, hats off to you on that, Coach.
We try. I promise you, if it's just about getting kids to the next level, then your percentage of success isn't going to be that great, because it's about 1% of kids who go on, 2% that go on to the next level. If it's about making a kid a better man, you can do that with 100% of your players, and I think that's the true sign of success.
Yeah, what a great goal, and you're fulfilling it, Coach, and we thank you again. Now, before we cut out, I want to mention, I'm sure you'll have a banquet coming up, I recognize.
Yeah, in January, probably January, we'll have a banquet, assuming we got to get some logistics with COVID and see how we're going to do that. They may not want us packing out. We'll have a banquet, there'll be 300 people there. And so they may not want us packing 300 people into a cafeteria. So we'll have to talk about some things and see how that goes, but we will do that. We'll recognize that. We'll recognize we have a couple kids who are going to be signing to play college football. One guy I forgot to mention, Caleb Appleby, our tight end's graduating. He's got, I think, 3 Division I offers already. So, he'll be signing, I'm sure, at some point coming up. And there'll be some other kids who are going to sign. Bradley Wilson's already signed to play baseball. Tyler Franks is going to be playing baseball. And we got some other guys who I think will be signing some scholarships in the next few months, and we'll certainly recognize those guys and honor them as well.
Yeah, we'll be looking forward to that. Thank you for joining us right here on TV 35. Most of all, Coach, thank you for what you do.
Appreciate it, man. Thanks.
First Lawrence Bank invites you to experience banking at its best. Whether you have personal or business needs, we're a full-service bank big enough to handle all of your banking needs and small enough to provide you with that personal touch you've grown to expect from a community bank like First Lawrence Bank. Looking forward to your future? That's First Lawrence Bank in Dublin and Dexter, member FDIC.
Hi, I'm Tracy Middlebrooks. I'm with Muddy Paws Dublin. We are a boarding, grooming, daycare, and training facility. Our facility is a group play area. Our dogs get 6 to 8 hours playtime every day. So when your dog comes to stay with us, they're not just sitting in a kennel. We have indoor facilities as well as outdoor facilities. We do separate dogs according to size and temperament. All of our kennels are indoors, so when your dog stays with us, they are sleeping indoors in a climate-controlled environment. When it's too hot or too cold outside, this is one of the areas the dogs can come to get playtime. That way they're not just sitting in a kennel. If need be, we can rotate dogs between outside and inside. So if your dog is only used to the inside and only goes outside to potty, we can accommodate that. We have a full-service grooming salon 6 days a week. We also offer training. I am a certified professional dog trainer. I can do everything from basic obedience up to canine good citizens test. So if you have any questions, feel free to call. Most of the training is done here on site. We have boarding also, as well as daycare. Boarding starts at $27 a night. We do give a multiple dog discount as well as military discounts. We like to say that a tired dog is a happy dog. When your dog comes to stay with us, we look at that as them getting a vacation.